Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Puck Watching. Nick and I are here together. I feel like we had to since I'm still enjoying the fall break here in St. Louis. But we're happy to have you. Hopefully the audio quality is pretty good. We're getting a little step up here in our equipment thanks to Jake and the ball watching crew. But Nick, this Sunday night, obviously coming off of a Blues win last night, but a nightmarish version of Blues hockey on Thursday night that we were at, and all that hype that I really tried to bring with the jersey and all of that didn't really come to fruition on Thursday night. But before we get into that, let's talk about some of the other things that happened in the sports world of ours, including me, who, if you guys saw my story this weekend, we were at Mizzou. I was at Mizzou, not Nick, for the Mizzou-Bama game. And, man, what a fun game. Tough result for Mizzou. They were so close to pulling out the dub. Just couldn't get it done against that good Bama squad, man.
Yeah. I'm not a Mizzou fan, just transparently, but I did have a lot of money invested in them and had a vested interest in them winning that game, and was pretty disappointed. I don't really think they played well at all on offense. I thought the defense kept them in the game. I know we already talked about that, but still, tip of the cap to the defense. They worked hard, but pretty much nothing besides that first and last drive of the game. There was nothing. They didn't do anything almost the entire time.
Yeah.
So that was disappointing, to say the least. But again, not a Mizzou fan, so I'm not, emotionally wrecked, just financially.
Yeah, the opening drive for them, man, they had this awesome drive with Ahmad Hardy, and you thought that maybe this would be Mizzou dominance on that first drive.
I did
that
not
was
think
the
they were
feeling
gonna
in the
dominate.
stadium. That was the feeling in the
Oh
stadium.
my gosh, we're going by 30.
Well, yeah. And then Brabula just did not really show up for the squad after that. Even and Ahmad Hardy, who was, one of the top in the NCAA and rushing yards, and just couldn't really get it done against that defense. But tough. But what an environment at Mizzou. I'll give credit to them. I've never been to Mizzou for a game like that.
The construction,
it's
horrible.
It's a little ugly
to look at.
It's a little ugly. Yeah.
I couldn't believe that they were allowing like a nationally televised game to see that end zone.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
It was really bad. A huge eyesore.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, once that is built, which I think it's going to be done by next year, I think it'll look pretty good. They have a lot more seating that's going to be there, and they're still going to have that grass area.
When did they start it?
I think it was maybe in the spring of this year they started that.
Couldn't do an expedited thing, or
I guess not.
Yeah.
I guess
they
not.
only played football a few months out of the year.
Well, either way,
right. We'll get over that.
Yeah, and then your boys at TCU didn't really have a good weekend either.
Indeed. Indeed. Not that anyone cares that watches this podcast, but yeah, the TCU Horned Frogs have dropped to 4-2 and no good wins to really record as of yet, but some really low moments. Not a lot of great things to talk about. Defense played well. Josh Hoover kind of stinks right now. He had a interesting little press conference, had to feel for him, but at the end of the day, you gotta win some football games, make better decisions, and he didn't do any of that yesterday.
Haven't won in Manhattan, Kansas in 8 years. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
To TCU, yeah.
2017.
2017.
Mizzou has not beaten a ranked team at home since 1975.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
TCU has done that.
Yeah.
Ranked team, pardon me, top 10 team.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, top 10.
The last one was Michigan.
Alabama. So that's why I thought it would be.
No, I'm saying for TCU.
At home.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
It changes when you're at home. TCU and Baylor went back and forth, and they were top 5 teams in the country for like a decade or so. So
that's true.
I'm sure it was one of those, or Texas or OU, because TCU beat them a few times as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But fun weekend of college football. And James Franklin gets fired from Penn State. So that was that was an interesting one. But again,
it's been a chaotic weekend of college football. Yeah.
And then BC lost again. And again, I tried to tell you, Nick, that this team is not going to be a good team after they lost that game to Stanford. And then
Clemson's really good.
Clemson's great. Yeah,
great team.
They're a 500 team now. Like, there's something. They may even win the ACC championship, because right now it's literally, besides Miami, it's a absolute dumpster fire in the ACC.
SMU, great win over Stanford. Yeah, TCU beat them. It's a good football team over there. Right. That means TCU is good. So,
either way, and then BC hockey actually started as well.
They lost, right?
And they lost.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
they lost
4-3. Yeah,
they lost to Quinnipiac, and they're a ranked team. Okay,
things are fine.
Yeah,
fine. Let's remember. Boston.
Let's remember they were number 1 in the nation last year, all of last year, and he didn't get it done in the regionals, but I think they'll still be a good team. They're not going to be the same as last year. You don't have guys like Leonard and Perot, who are all in the NHL now, and their goalie. Their goalie right now is a prospect for the Panthers. I don't think he'll get really anytime soon for them, but that's the biggest absence and the question mark for BC.
It'd be so sweet if Justin Carbonneau was at Boston College right now.
Tell me about it. But he had a good first game.
Really good. He's played really well so far.
Yeah. So I think it brings us up to this first 2 games of the Blues season, and frankly, I think going in there, like we were so hyped, and the environment at Enterprise, and I want to talk about that first, was unbelievable. And I think that always when you're at a home opener, I don't think I've ever really been to a home opener game like that, so I can't really draw any comparisons. But it felt like in the place that there was a different level of energy for this team than there was before. I don't know if you noticed that, but I definitely did for sure.
I noticed. I mean, social media has been that way for the last few weeks now. 2 people are just chomping at the bit to get back to Blues hockey. Still bitter from what happened this past year in the opening round of the playoffs, obviously. And knowing that we have a good team and thinking that we're going to be able to make strides forward and be able to maybe even grab a top 3 in the Central and make a deeper run into the playoffs, maybe not win the Stanley Cup, but I mean, once you make the playoffs, you never really know. Yeah. And I think that's what most people are thinking. And once you have a really good team in your city that is opening, an 82 game season, like that first game becomes almost a playoff like atmosphere,
Yeah, I was amazed also when they were doing the introductions, and that's a big thing that they do on the home openers. But Jim Montgomery got an absolutely loud, probably one of the loudest there, besides like Bennington or Robert Thomas or somebody like that. I mean, it was loud for him.
Shen got a really big one.
Shen did too. Yeah. But just like I think the fans are, especially after where they were last year when Montgomery came in and all the success that they had after. I think they showed it on the big screen that he has like a 655 point percentage as a head coach in the NHL. And I don't know what the exact one is for the Blues, but it's pretty solid. I know that
he doesn't lose a lot of regular season hockey games. Yeah. That's for sure. But unfortunately, this one he did.
he did, and we can get into it because we were there with our brother Jake and then our dad, and all the hype going into it and just the energy. They had like the flashlights on at the that were like paired to the phones, which was awesome for the little light show. But then once they actually started the hockey game, things started to change in the arena. And actually, I thought that in that first period, they played okay to the point where, they were generating some chances. They had plenty of shots on goal, which, by the way, that's another discussion. But none of them were like really high quality chances, at least in that first period. I could tell you that. And they started it off, but complete buzzkill with Justin Falk getting to the penalty box in the first part of the game. So
it felt right. It felt correct. So I'm glad that we picked up where we left off, if you will.
Well, the penalty kill actually looked pretty good.
Yeah, that wasn't the problem.
Yeah, they had a great kill in the first part, and I was like, because when they had that, I'm like, well, the worst way to start a hockey game is by being in the box. But I guess there's a point maybe there that like, okay, you have to kill off an early penalty. You got to get your feet under you pretty quickly. And it looked like they did. That kill was pretty easy for them. But they never really found their footing, even though that they had a few power plays as well on their own end. and they couldn't generate anything from those really either. They were okay that you had some possession going back and forth. The lines are a little different this year, obviously, and with the second power play unit, you get Suter in there. You still have Justin Falk as your power play quarterback there, which he looked okay, but you got Suter, you got Neighbors on there, you got Kyrou, and they look pretty good. I think Holloway was on there as well. I think it's a very good very well balanced two power play lines that they have. It was a little bit more successful in the second game, which we'll get into, but did you like those two lines that they had going in the power play? I feel like it's just a matter of how you put them all together. Obviously, your best players are on the ice, but
yeah, no, I like the power play lines. I know that they've been a bit volatile when it comes to the power play the last couple years, and I think this year is definitely a big focus for them to be a little bit more consistent when it comes to scoring goals on the power play, which they were able to do yesterday. But I always question I get it, I guess, because he can quarterback it, but like, why would Falk play on a power play instead of someone like Parayko? I know that Falk maybe could be a bit better in those situations to an extent, but Parayko is a much better defenseman and has a much better shot, I would say, than Justin Falk. It could be a hot take. I'm not really sure, but I've never understood why. Because Falk, I feel like, has made a lot of mistakes when he's going out there and arming that power play. So I don't really know. I'm assuming they try it out in practice, but I don't know. It's not that big of a deal. But I would love for it to switch it up every once in a while.
Yeah,
but
and even Broberg too. Yeah, I think that'd be good. And because I think Broberg is a good combo of both Falk and Parayko, because it's like, I think Parayko, I think the Falk move is like, well, they're going to be a little bit more mobile with him. He's smaller. He's able to kind of move around with the puck at the point pretty well. But then Parayko, who's like probably a better player in general and definitely more defensive upside, and I think is a little smarter, but just can't move as well on the point compared to Falk. But I think Broberg would be a happy medium between the two.
Yeah, I get that he's young though, so maybe not want to trust him with those type of minutes and those high pressure situations. But still, would love to give him a look. He's played. I think Broberg's looked good. Yeah, the last couple games.
Yeah. So the first goal that they had, it's a 5-on-5 goal, and it gets right past. It's from Ryan Hartman, and off of like a kind of a fluky little goal that Binnington let up there. I don't think it was totally his fault, this one. Just a kind of like a weird play.
Oh, this is when he got 5-hold.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, obviously going through the legs, you hate to see it, but sometimes it just fool you. And that one clearly fooled him. But that was after a little bit of a Mailloux misplay, that first goal. And I thought that Mailloux looked pretty okay in the rest of the game. But that first period, you could tell that he was kind of a little bit in over his head, I would say. But shaky. I think he settled in.
It's shaky for sure, especially when it came to starting the game, which understandable. But if you look at his net rating, it's not good.
Yeah.
In the last two games, especially.
Yeah.
So some things that need to be cleaned up for sure.
Yeah.
But we're 2 games into the NHL season. He's 20, 2 years old.
Yeah.
And he's played, in 8 NHL games, 9 now. So I'm not worried about that as much. They'll clean it up. He'll get better. He'll get more confidence. It's just always tough when you see Bolduc just scoring goals every single night now. And you're like, oh, no, I wish I had him. But
yeah, he's got 3 goals through 3 games with the Canadians. And I don't think he ever did that for the Blues.
He had his spurts, I mean, he would go months without scoring goals. I'm assuming he would regress back to maybe not the mean, but maybe something slightly above that, since he has just a larger role. In Montreal.
Yeah, and the Canadiens are a good team, and they're definitely younger, and he's definitely getting a lot of reps there. And I don't think he was getting. I think he was consistently pretty much on the third line with the Blues, and still had 19 goals when you think about it. Like, he wasn't even playing with your top 6.
Yeah. He got in that power play, though. That's what helped him a lot.
He did. That's really what developed him. Yeah. But, when you're playing consistently 5-on-5 with, the Canadians' top guys, I don't know who he's playing with, but if he's playing with Cole Caulfield or
Mhm.
Nick Suzuki on there, then you're probably going to be a pretty good player.
Good shape.
Good shape.
Mhm.
Comparing to Sundqvist and Hebers, who
Yeah.
he would play with.
But
this season.
back to that first goal, though.
Yeah.
It's a reflection of how I think Jordan Bennington's night went overall.
Yeah.
The first goal to be 5-hold is tough.
Yeah.
And I don't really know if he recovered after that one because
No.
he let in worse goals than that throughout the rest of the night.
Yeah.
So that was really, really worrying
Yeah.
to see. But you felt better yesterday watching Hofer.
Yeah. So I said this to you in the middle of the period because it was 2-0 after the second, and it was another deflection. It was a deflection goal. That one was a good goal.
It was a good goal. He should not have been that open.
No,
there's no reason he should have been unmarked right in the slot to deflect. But it was a really good deflection. Like, it was crazy how he was able to do that.
You have to somehow get a stick in the lane there, and that was Matt Boldy, who's one of their really good guys. And Kaprizov, that was his second point of the game, and that was he was assisted on the first two goals and didn't score, but still he looked great out there and was showing that he's definitely somewhat of a $17 million player.
Man.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, that was that first period I wasn't quite enthused by the way that they were playing at all. And but I was hoping, I was like, all right, it's a 2-0 hockey game. You know, the Blues, the one thing that they can do, and Thomas talked about this on our interview, said they can score goals in bunches. So I wasn't worried at all after that first period. I was like, all right, you know, you got a bunch of people that are playing with different guys now. You know, that third line is entirely different than what it was. You know, you had Sundqvist playing on there all last season, and with sometimes with Joseph Bolduc, and then with Neighbors sometimes, but that's not the case. And you'd think that with Suter, who's a better center than Oscar Sundqvist is, you got Neighbors, and then Matthew Joseph, who you said in the preview was kind of a little bit of a misfit.
I thought that line was kind of strange.
Yeah.
Just not that Matthew Joseph is a misfit, but I thought the line as a third line forward, I just thought that was a little bit interesting. But again, you know, you have to make it work at some point, and personnel is not going to always make a whole lot of sense on paper, but they can still mesh well.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I'm with you. Yeah. So then they get into the second period, and it's a pretty similar story, except the Blues have a couple power plays in that. So they didn't have any power plays in the first. Correction on earlier, they had their two in the second, and just couldn't cash in on those. And when you look at the power plays from yesterday compared to then, it was an entirely different result on all of those. And just, you know, you have the puck and you have possession, but they weren't quite finding those chances where they're going to be super high quality. They were looking towards the bumper in the middle sometimes with Shen or with Holloway, and just wasn't really working out, unfortunately. And maybe credit the Wild's PK on that for marking the guys, but still, I was not impressed with the Blues special teams on the power play at all.
I thought they had opportunities, whether it was on the power play or not, and especially in that second period where they really took it to them for a good solid 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think the shots were 15-0 at one point.
Yeah.
It got pretty crazy there at a point, but they could not. It seemed like every time they shot the puck, it just went right into Gustafsson's chest.
Yep.
That's what it felt like. And there's two things that happen there. One is your shot aim is just not there, and you're not aiming for corners or whatever it may be. Two, you just don't have anyone in front of the goalie.
Yeah, that's what Montgomery said in the presser.
And he said that he stressed that big time, and he said they're going to work on that in practice. And
yeah,
obviously they figured something out.
They did.
Because that was not a problem yesterday.
Yeah.
But it was glaringly obvious that he just did not have enough bodies in front of him. Gustafsson, that is.
Yeah.
And there were no screens, no deflections, and that became an issue for them, and they could not figure it out the whole game.
Yeah, no, and there weren't rebounds being let up either.
Nothing.
And they were shots that were right.
And there
were
plenty of them on the other end.
They were,
yeah, plentiful.
Yeah, and so Jordan Bennington lets up his third, and that was a really tough goal to let up right there. And I put it on there that it was a squeaky goal, and I think at the end of that second period, I think odds are if things went extremely well, and you had your goalie like Bennington making some big saves, then it probably should have been maybe 2-0 going into the third period.
Yeah.
And not 4-0, which is what it was. And the fourth one too, just one that goes right through the 7-hole, just couldn't squeeze it, and then just to get somebody right behind Binnington to just tap it in from right behind him. That was tough for me.
That was the dagger.
Yeah,
I thought, because we hadn't scored, we couldn't score.
Yeah.
You letting in a fourth goal. Okay, that
Yeah.
seems pretty insurmountable at that point.
Yeah, and it's just like, for me, it's the first game of the season. You're not gonna really cash a lot of blame onto Binnington, and I think for the game though, like, they probably lost that game partly because of Binnington, but at the same time, if you can't score goals, then you're not going to give him a chance at all. So I'm not going to fully put the blame on him, but he definitely didn't have a great game at all by his standards, and kind of concerning. But at the same time, one game in, I'm not going to really fret about it too much, I think.
No, you can't overreact to it. You got to put him in net tomorrow night, presumably, and see how it goes. Yeah. But again, if he has another shaky start and he lets in a couple of leaky ones, you do have to probably start asking questions.
Right.
But until then, fingers crossed that he has a great game tomorrow night, and we don't have to have that conversation at all.
The worst part of it was that the Wild didn't have that many shots, so his save percentage was like crap.
I'm surprised he didn't get pulled, honestly. But it's the opening night. I'm sure you don't really want to pull your goalie on opening night. But I think it was like 677 in like the third period.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It was bad. It was really, really bad. And any goalie would be upset with those numbers, no matter how bad you are. And Bennington's, not an exception to that. So it was bad. And he's ripe for a few of those every year, I think. Yeah. But it was tough to see on opening night.
It was. It was. Yeah. And one of the things that I will say also played a part of that, and at the end of the second period, we looked at it, Nick. It was the faceoff percentage was 60% Wild, and we were at 40%, and that's something that is not a recipe to win games, as I said on our little breakdown after the second period, and that they didn't really improve much into that third period. They improved a little bit, but not enough, obviously. So that was something that concerned me. But again, like, going into Calgary, it was a very different story. Their faceoff percentage was much better, so that wasn't something to worry about. Before we move on, though, the players that are new, I wanted to talk about them and see how you thought. We talked a little bit about Mailloux already, but thinking about Suter, thinking about Bukestad, and their play, and that how do you think that they play? I thought Suter didn't really see him much in that game. Wasn't that noticeable. And then Bukestad, on the other hand, I think you could notice his physicality and how big he was out there. But again, their role isn't entirely an offensive role. It's more of just creating some momentum for this team, which there wasn't much of it going on in that game at all. So
not a lot of physicality in that game in general, outside of Walker a few times, and then Shen had a big hit too.
Yes, yeah.
But that was pretty much it. I don't really recall it being very physical. There weren't a lot of scrums. Yeah. So
surprisingly,
there just weren't.
Yeah.
And on the Suter front, I didn't really notice Suter. To be honest, I didn't notice that he was really out there. I didn't feel like he did that much.
Yeah.
And Bukestad, you can't miss him. He's just so tall and large as a person.
Right.
But I don't think he was flashy or anything like that. I didn't think he was really exerting any type of like physical presence on the ice. But I thought overall the debuts were fine. Mailloux was the shakiest, like, no doubt.
Yeah.
But
you would have expected.
We already addressed that. He's
the
youngest one in the bunch, hasn't played a lot in NHL, so yeah, it's expected.
And that's the thing that long term concerns me the most, because like you can be shaky on there. It's the third pairing. You're going to get the least amount of time, but at the same time, it's like Tucker is also a third pairing, and she probably shouldn't be any higher than that. So I get concerned about that pairing a little bit. I think it can work. I really do, especially when Mailloux's got some size. And Tucker's played a little bit more games than him. So I like the idea, but those are your most inexperienced guys out there, with Broberg being kind of an exception. So,
I tweeted about it,
yeah,
and I got a response from the guy said I wanted him to be paired with a veteran.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I think most people would want that for younger players,
Yeah.
but it's never that simple because once you pair someone with a veteran, then you also sacrifice another line.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, it sounds good, but does it work?
Yeah.
I think they'll give him a shot with a veteran at certain points throughout the game / season, but is it going to be like a long-term strategy for him to be paired with like Fowler or Parayko? No,
probably not.
No.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that they're going to have to figure out, because I think one of the key parts of a good defense is having defensive player pairings playing with each other on a very consistent basis. And I think that was the problem a lot, especially with Parayko. You just never found that partner for a while. Then he has Fowler, and he's playing great with him. But the question is, can they find that with this current set of pairings? Again, 2 games in, hard to really make any judgments from that. But I like the idea of it. I just hope that they can all find some chemistry with each other and work together a little bit.
It'll be an interesting experiment.
Yeah.
It's too early now to judge exactly what it's going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, not great.
Yeah.
But Tucker got on the board yesterday with an assist. Mayu's scoreless still, but it's good to see that, at least, I would say. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think and then going into the second game, and it was something that kind of caught me off guard, and I wasn't really all tuned into Blues news that day because we were at the Mizzou game, but I did notice when I turned on the game at 3 o'clock. By the way, perfect timing. Mizzou game ends at 2:30, and then Blues game starts at 3, so that couldn't have been better. But the lines were a little different. I was like, wait a second, who's missing here? Because all right, the third line looks very different. Like right now, it was Suter and Neighbors and Texier that were on that third line. For a while, I'm like, this is weird.
And Joseph got dropped.
And Joseph got dropped to the fourth line with Bukestad and Walker.
And Torp didn't play.
And it turns out Torp's had a upper and a lower body injury.
Still banged up.
I don't really know what happened there. He didn't leave the game at all.
I don't think so, no.
So I don't know what happened there. Hopefully it's all good. But it clearly didn't affect this team that much. But again, like Joseph on the fourth line is interesting. I don't know if he's quite the fourth line player, but you get injuries, you have to take what you get. But I kind of like giving Texier an opportunity because, all right, now you got some more goal scoring potential on that third line. You got a guy who's got a pretty good shot in Texier, and then Neighbors and Suter. I think that third line has so much more potential to get offense for this team. And yeah, they didn't get all of it. I think Neighbors actually ended up moving up at the course of the game. I think Snuggerud maybe moved down, which is kind of what we saw, by the way, in the first night too. They tried it out again with Snuggerud, Thomas Buchnevich, still didn't quite work. And then because by the way, that first period again, not too crazy about the Blues game at all against Calgary. And again, you're away, and it's a different environment. You're not going to have the home crowd supporting you. And I was not very happy at all with it. And I actually, when I recorded that video at the end of the first period, I was a little nervous for the sake of the team, because you had 4 periods with basically no really high danger scoring, except one when Buchnevich was on that power play and got that great chance off of I forget who passed. Was it Thomas maybe that passed him that? Either way, you got a cross ice one-timer. I feel like that's Buchnevich's bread and butter, and he just fanned on it, and Wolf, the Calgary goalie, made it.
That's been his bread and butter a little bit in the last year or two.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually should finish those.
Yeah.
It was worrying, though, because I did not have the privilege of watching all of it. I watched kind of the ebbs and flows of the game. But when they went down 1-0, they're getting outshot. They're committing penalties left and right.
Same thing, actually.
And it was like, what is going on? Like, how are they so undisciplined right now?
Yeah.
But the PK, again, doing a good job. They're doing their jobs, and when we put ourselves in those types of situations, we're killing them.
No, that's true.
Which is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that first period was worrying. I definitely was concerned if they were to drop the first 2. It's like, you can't get off to a slow start, and all of a sudden you're off to a slow start.
Yeah.
Again. So
Yeah, no, I was thinking, I don't even know if they were going to ever score a goal this season.
yeah, that was the big worry too.
At the point. I mean, you know, and I knew that they were going to eventually score, but it's like, I wonder who's going to be the guy that does it.
Someone's got to step up.
And by the way, who better than Jake Neighbors?
Yeah, I think of all the people that could have done it and broken it, who's going to will themselves to score the first goal? It's probably going to be Jake Neighbors, to be honest. Yeah. He'll forcibly put one in the back of the net.
Yeah. And kind of a weak-ish goal.
Yeah.
Going through the 5-hole of Wolf. And he didn't really have a great angle at it, which is why I say that. You know, if you make a good move, then, you know, I think 5-hole discussions become a little less important. But that was not a very good move from him. It was just kind of, all right, I'm just going to put this backhand on and see what happens. And Wolf didn't close the 5-hole. Blues are tied 1-1. So you're like, all right, finally you get the goal. I kind of was sensing that maybe that was just what they needed to kind of finally get their game. It's like, all right, we needed that one goal after getting shut out from a division rival like Minnesota. And Calgary also probably going to be a team that they're going to be battling with throughout the whole season in terms of the standings. So also another important game. By the way, the next stretch of games are all teams that we're going to be playing a lot over the course of the season. And so they're going to be really important. And then Robert Thomas gets on the board, power play goal, first of the season for them. And they had a couple other opportunities, by the way, that I think they were 1 for 4 in that game. So they had 3 other chances at it. And Thomas, I think it was a good goal. I mean, a tight angle, but I think better than the first goal because he just roofed it.
It was a rip. That was really impressive.
Yeah.
When I watched the highlights, I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
Someone's been working.
Yeah, and it speaks. I think it speaks to all this because it's like, all right, we always think of Thomas as a passer, right? But we always think that he also has a lot of goal scoring potential. And you see it right there. Like, that's a goal scorer's goal right there. It's just like, all right, if you're a good enough player to get it in the exact right location, even on a tight angle like that, then you're pretty good.
He also had another filthy wrister that hit the inside of the post in the first game,
right?
As
that's
well.
True.
Probably should have. I think most people thought that went in.
Yes,
but should have too. I mean, that was both really good shots. The first game was probably a little bit better, honestly, than the second one. But
yeah, and then the Flames tied it though, 2-2, and that was Coronado again, and he had the 2 goals for the Flames, but Joel Hofer was the story in that second period. I mean, save after save, and the chances were coming. By the way, didn't have much time to rest after some big saves. I mean, first one came in there, second one came probably like a minute or 2 after that. The third one came about a minute or 2 after that. So he was like, it could have been like a 5-1 game at some point. But Hofer, man, the guy who you trust. I mean, Bennington has a bad game. We're going to put this guy in, see if he can change the energy and for this team. And he delivered. And you wouldn't think of Hofer as this really clutch type goalie yet, because he just doesn't have those big games under his belt like Bennington was. And I still think, game 7 on the line, you need this big save, kind of like some Max Kellerman type thing, except I'm not going to say Joel Hofer and compare it to Andre Iguodala. But I am going to say
such a great segment.
It was a great segment.
Man.
It's a great. But I'm going to still say Jordan Bennington at it when obviously. But again, Iguodala comes up big for the Warriors when he played.
Yes, he did.
And
Finals MVP Andre Iguodala.
See, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's why Max said it, which we can debate it all we want.
That's so good.
But but Joel Hofer can give you those moments. And I think we saw that. And I think that was a really big example of it in that game.
I mean, it's just kind of one of those things when you have a team that's kind of struggling. Not that the Blues were, on the verge of being relegated or anything like that. But at the same time, Bennington did not do them the service of bailing them out a couple times.
That's true.
And keeping the game even.
Yep.
And Hofer did. And it's amazing what happens when your goalie does make just a couple of good saves, and then the rest can take care of itself. And that's pretty much exactly what happened. I think the stat was from, what was it, Puck Media or Hockey Empire, whatever, they said 2 goals plus save above expected.
Yeah.
That's the difference of a hockey game.
It is. It is.
So it's huge when your goalie can step up like that. You don't want to make that, the consistent basis for the goalies on the Blues, but at the same time, when it can happen on one-off nights, that's critical.
Yeah. Yep. And I think Bennington was like -3 in that.
That would make sense.
Yeah. -2 or -3, and it doesn't. It makes a lot of sense. So, but I think the other parts of that game, and they really took control. I thought in the third period, but again, I think the Flames still had plenty of chances. Like they had a couple of chances, not only from Hofer that bailed the Blues out, but they also had a couple off the post in that game as well, which was like, ooh, like not encouraging still. Like you kind of got bailed out at multiple points in that game. But again, maybe it's one of those things that had to happen for this team to get a win under their belt. I think at the end of the
you got to see one go through the net,
right?
Just like in basketball,
right?
Like Andre Iguodala.
And then the Blues finally took control though. They get Jake Neighbors again, and this is what we were talking about earlier. It's like a total change in being able to get pucks to the net. Obviously, they had plenty of that in the first game, but not only that, but they were putting bodies in front of the net and screening Wolf, which was key. And then the first one came off of a very good play, by the way. It's a face-off win. Cam Fowler dusted off to Parayko, and then a Neighbors deflection. By the way, great deflection.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are not a lot of players, I think, in the NHL that can do that very well.
That's his game, right?
It is.
That's what he does. He just wreaks havoc in front of the net, and that's what they were missing so much of last Thursday. So he did exactly what he is paid to do, and is mix it up in the middle and wreak some havoc in the slot and get some sticks on pucks.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful sight.
Yeah.
Really beautiful.
Yeah. And then the fourth goal with Tucker as well coming in there. And again, Tucker, he kind of had a sneaky shot from the blue line. Let's one rip.
He's got a good shot.
He does.
Yeah,
he does. And Montgomery has said it. He's like, he's an offensive minded guy sometimes. Maybe not. It's not definitely his game, but you said it that I think you said in the preview that he'd have like what 7 or 8 goals.
Yeah,
that you said.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, in that game, it looked like that he has that potential.
10, 15,
maybe. That Suter got the deflection on that one, and that one wasn't as clear that he deflected that he did just barely, but again, bodies in front. So Suter finally getting on the board too, and then remember 25 goal scorer last season.
Yep.
So should we expect more like that? And again, I don't know Suter enough as a player to really see if that's his game. I don't know if it's that because he's kind of a smaller guy, but so Neighbors doesn't have a lot of size to him either. But if that's sort of his game too, where you got just grinders down there who can get open in the lanes and put some sticks on pucks, I think we're in a really good position. And Suter cashed in nice.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how the next few weeks go with Suter, just to watch him play more because I'm the same boat. I don't know what kind of player he really is. Yeah. And they'll switch him up probably on the lines. Everyone thought he was going to be the 2C, and it's the 3C, and he's playing with different players than what everyone expected him to. That obviously impacts your performance too. Yeah. So I'll be really curious to see how everything goes and what Monty does with the lines with him.
Right. And then and then Blues close it out, which, by the way, I don't know if you noticed this when you were watching in the third, and when they pulled the goalie, I was like, oh. It reminds me of something, and we haven't had that since Game 7, and it was kind of the same timing too. It was a little less time of an empty net for Calgary than it was for Winnipeg in Game 7. I think it was like 3 minutes for Winnipeg. That one was like 2:45. They pulled them, and I was like, okay, like let's figure this out. And by the way, they closed it out very smoothly, which surprised the hell out of me.
Didn't score.
Yeah. Well, obviously, yeah. But like not a lot of chances.
Good.
So
that wasn't even, and I feel like Blues fans are going to misremember this past season because of the way they lost. But they were bad the entire year when the opposing goalie was not in the net. The whole year. And once that happened, it was almost like some type of cosmic justice that they had to pay for it again. Yeah. But it's good to see that they handled that well. But it was such a huge problem way even before the Winnipeg series started. That's why it's just crazy how it ended, because you're like, wow, that may be their biggest flaw. And it ended up beating ultimately causing their demise. But it's good to see they're improving. I'm sure that was addressed in the off season.
Sure hope
Yeah.
because I don't know how else. I mean, you didn't really have a lot of other flaws in your game other than that. And as you said, and they seem to figure it out. But again, it's only one game, and I'm sure they'll cause us some scares over the course of this year, just knowing how it is with this team.
And it's also like when you think about why a team could be so bad when it's a 6-on-5 type situation. Because you think about the Blues and we're like, oh yeah, they're killing penalties. They do a good job on the kill. They can, get pucks deep, gain possession, break up passes, whatever. And then why in the world would it be a problem if there's no goalie but just a simple extra attacker? Like how different could that dynamic be on 5-on-4 versus 6v5?
Right.
So I would honestly love to hear like a perspective from an NHL player, because it would be really interesting to hear.
I know.
Because
should have asked.
I mean, we're talking like oceans away on how they play, and relative to each other. But still, it's good to see. Good win. 1-1, 2 points.
Yeah, no, 2 points is all you needed, and it comes away, and it's not easy to play up there in the Pacific at all. And then you got Vancouver coming up on Monday. And I think one of the big things, though, headed into this week, Nick, is, and I think it's when you start to really see who's going to be the big guys for this team. And you're not going to expect that Neighbors is going to be your guy every single night. You just can't expect that. So the guys who have not gone on the board yet, Jordan Kyrou.
There's plenty of them.
Jordan Kyrou and Dylan Holloway.
Mm-hmm.
And even a guy like Shen,
Pavel
Buchnevich, and then Snuggerud. And those are your guys who you expect to get a lot out of. And not to say that Kyrou didn't have any chances in the last 2 games. I thought he's looked good. I thought his line in the first game looked the best out of any of them by a long shot. That Shen, Holloway, Kyrou line. Which, by the way, I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it type thing. You don't need to put Suter on that line if they're still generating chances. But if it comes in 5 games and they only got 1 goal on the board between those 3, right? Especially after this week, I think it'll be we'll tell after that. But maybe do have to switch that up.
Time change it up.
Right. So I think I'll be very anxious to see. I don't think Dylan Holloway's look bad, but again, you're expecting 25 to 30 goals out of that guy, as we said in our preview. Like you said, potentially 30 from him. And, not scoring on the first 2 games of the season, you don't have to worry that much. At the same time, it's like, all right, like this is a big week for Blues hockey. Like you have three games that are against, Chicago is the outlier, but you got Vancouver and Dallas coming up this week. And Dallas, as we said to Rob in our interview with him,
this is the moment. This is it.
It's the moment.
Yeah, your season lives or dies. On next Saturday. Yeah.
And in Chicago, it's and we're in St. Louis for Chicago, and we're in St. Louis for Dallas. And it's like, all right, you have the advantage of the home ice there, but it's just a matter of finding ways to break through, especially against Dallas. And you can't lose a stupid one in Chicago. You just can't. You can't afford those.
They're winless right now. Last time I checked.
Okay.
I don't know about Vancouver. We know Dallas is going to be a wagon this year. That's easily going to be the toughest matchup that we have. But at some point, you have to figure this out.
Yeah.
You have to be able to beat the best team in the Western Conference, probably.
Yeah.
Which is the Dallas Stars. So they have to figure that out. It's a big week. Not critical, but a big week. It's, the second week of the season. The beautiful thing about what you said about Kyrou is that Kyrou is a bunches scorer.
Yes, he is.
He does not score like, he scores 1 goal here and then like 2 goals in a couple nights later. And then, he'll take a game off and another goal, game off, another goal. Not like that.
No.
He's scoring like 8 goals in 4 games type situation.
Right.
And that's why I'm not really worried about him. However, Buchnevich,
he's
not really like that as much.
Yeah.
And Snuggerud hasn't impressed me so far, really. I know he did get an assist last night, which was good.
Yeah.
Shen did look. I thought Shen looked good. He had a really, really good shift. I remember the first night. and then committed a penalty literally right after that. And it was definitely a penalty, so it wasn't like it was up in the air. But I think he's looked fine as well. Yeah. And Holloway, I do think things will come around and he'll start producing.
You would think so.
Least worried about Kyrou and Holloway.
Okay. Yeah. But then, Snuggerud and Buchnevich, you just don't know.
You don't know
what you're going to get out of those guys. And for Buchnevich, it's just, I think, one from him in this week, I think can turn things around. Because I think he kind of has, he has like a bug right now, like almost like a yips type thing, where it just he needs. And again, I think maybe we're being too hard on him, but I think he knows himself that he has a lot of goal scoring potential, and that he can be a 30 goal scorer, as Rob said, on the interview. And he said that it's going to be a big bounce back year for him. Haven't seen that, but again, once he gets the monkey off his back, I think maybe it can be good.
Yeah, I hope so. We need him to score more goals. Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to, especially that first line. Yeah, it's critical.
I think. Yeah, and then Jimmy Snuggerud Calder Trophy hopeful for him. So if he picks it up this week, we won't have any doubts about that. But we haven't seen much, so that's the issue.
A lot of ball left.
A lot of ball left.
Yeah,
a lot of ball left, and that's why it's hard to make episodes and critique this team, because you just don't know what you're gonna get over the next 3 games here. Which again, we said are critical, but not crazy. But you'd love 2 of 3.
A good start.
Yeah.
A good start in the season is huge for the Blues, and I feel like they usually don't. Yeah, and that's why we think the season could be different, because maybe they could.
Well, I saw they posted, somebody did, maybe it was Thomas Welch or something. Maybe Gateway Grinders. It was like, last time the Blues lost their home opener was against the Jets in the 2018-19 season when they won the Cup. So again,
Blues Views tweeted that as well. Okay. Yeah, they both did. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly the optimism you need after losing 5-0 at home ice on an opening night. You need it. Yeah,
I think that was the score.
This was part of the plan. Yeah,
exactly a part of the plan.
It needs to happen.
Yeah. But anyway, anything else that we've missed? I think that we've covered it pretty extensively. The Blues power play, though, is, I think, now 1 for 6 over the course of the last 2 games. So would love to see some improvement there, because obviously the special teams, I think they have all the guns, but it's just a matter of if they can really capitalize on them. So would love to see some improvement there. And their PK, again, they can't have 10 penalties through 2 games. That's not very good.
Never helps. No, got to clean that up.
Yeah. So if they can figure all these things out, I think we're going to be in for a good week of Blues hockey, but we'll be covering all those. Nick will be active on the X, I'm sure, over the course of the week here. Nick, you'll be out of town this weekend in Dallas, or not in Dallas, but for that Dallas game. But excited to see some more Blues hockey, get into that rhythm of games like 3 games a week. It's so fun.
Maybe able to watch the Dallas game in Dallas behind enemy lines. That's right. Despite them being in St. Louis. That could be fun.
That'll be really fun. I wear my sweater.
I could wear your sweater.
Yeah. Yes. You can endure the heat like I did that whole day. Hopefully you enjoyed that, because I enjoyed it, but at the same time it was kind of hard, especially on the plane. Like I was ready to go. I was ready to get off that thing. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I think we got a good audience here. But again, glad to be in person with them. I'll be back in Boston, though, after the next couple of days here, and we'll be back into the groove of things. So we're excited to bring it to you live in person here, but we'll be back remote in this next couple weekends. So until then, enjoy 3 games this week of Blues hockey. Great to be back, folks. So enjoy the week. Hopefully you had a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.
See you guys.